Hello and welcome to your live Wednesday advanced training call. My name is Jared Krebs. I'm live here in San Antonio. And before we bring on our special guest, I want to remind you of 10 things to expect when building your USANA business. Number one, there will be ups and downs, just like anything. Number two, success or failure is up to you. If you succeed, it's because of you. If you fail, it's because of you, not the person who invited you to USANA. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent and be an independent leader and example for your team. Number four, make your plan on the weekends. Do it, review it, and make adjustments. Plan, do, review, and adjust. Number five, it's going to take time. It's going to take 1 year to become competent at the skill sets to do this. It's going to take 3 years to develop a significant part-time income, 5 years to develop a full-time income, and 7 years to become world-class. It can happen faster, but it's going to take time. Number six, it takes consistency, consistent work and hustle, very important. Number seven, you're going to have to grow and get outside of your comfort zone. That is for sure. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary. Number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. The grass is greener where you water it. And number 10, this is a long-term game. USANA is 25 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. It's allowed me and my wife, Crystal, to have a full-time income for over a decade, as well as thousands of people around the world. And hundreds of thousands have made a part-time income. It works if you work it. And our bonus tip, amateurs sell products, but professionals sell the vision. Make sure that your clients are getting on these live webinars. Make sure that you're sharing these videos with your clients. Let them see that USANA can be so much more than a great product, that it can give them financial security, give them personal growth, and give them a lot of great community and friends. And few have done it as well as Tonja Hillebrant from Idaho Falls, Idaho, who is a Ruby director, a $1 Million Club member, and she is an awesome friend. I got to meet Tonja at the executive luncheon last year, and it's been awesome staying in touch with you. Tonja, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your story. We're really excited to hear it. We want to know what your life was like before USANA, maybe who introduced you, what were some of the challenges you were facing, and over your journey, what were some of the things that maybe how has it improved your health? What challenges in business did you overcome to make it to your level? And what's your life like today because of your USANA business? So Tonja, welcome.
Thank you, Jared. I'm excited to be here, and I'm honored that you would invite me. You have to remind me all those questions as we go along.
Okay.
Stay on track here. But anyway, I have actually been involved with USANA since 1995.
Wow.
So this, actually July 1st will be my 24-year anniversary. So USANA has been quite a journey.
24 years, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So my life before USANA, I actually was interested in USANA for the product. I was a stay-at-home mom hairdresser. My shop was in my home. When I got married, I had health issues. I actually had Epstein-Barr. And then I got married, and I had 4 kids in 5.5 years. And even without any health issues before that, that'll do it to you. So anyway, I was pretty run down and pretty tired. And when my youngest, at that time, son was 18 months old, I was really, really struggling with my health and trying to keep up with my kids. My neighbor kept talking about this new company, and I did not know anything about network marketing. I ran a beauty shop that I worked 3 days a week in my home. I taught piano lessons. I had 14 students, and I sold children's music. So I was pretty busy, and I did all that on top of not feeling very well and usually needing to take a nap with the kids in the afternoon. So when she started talking to me about a business, I wasn't the least bit interested because I thought, when would I fit that one in? But my health started becoming a concern. And so she actually left. It was an old, probably nobody's on here as old as me, but used to be called Money and Freedom. And it had a picture of Dr. Wentz right on the front. And she left it at my house, and it had been there for probably a month. And one day I just started reading it. And when I started reading about Dr. Wentz and his cell cultures, something just sent some triggers in me that just said, you have got to look at this. So I actually called her up. I learned later that never happens. Never expect them to call you, because they won't. But I called her up and I said, I want to learn more about this. They did not have a preferred customer program back then. That's probably what I would have done had they have, because I was so not interested in the business. But I'm actually grateful now, of course, soon after, that they didn't, because it did force me to join the business. But the conservative that I was, I bought a one business center and started on the products, told her, don't tell anybody I'm doing this, because I was actually, like I said, I was uneducated, did not understand network marketing, and I was embarrassed. So I didn't want anybody to know. But 5 weeks after taking the product, I really started to feel better. I started to feel more clarity. I had more energy. I thought, oh my goodness, there is something to this. My husband could see it too, and he has a better brain for math than me. And so he started reading that some of the information, and he said, I think we need 3 of those things that we just bought. And so we hurried and upgraded, because we saw we had this deadline. So we hurried and upgraded and bought 3 income centers. And then, because I felt so good, I told 2 people about it that week. They both signed up. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I can do this. And it was 2 weeks after that I got my first check. And that was kind of when I started to think, maybe I really could do this. So that was kind of how it started for me. I had lots of goals and stuff. And at the 6-month mark of doing USANA, I was making more money in USANA than my other 3 put together. And so that's when I thought, you know what, I need to really take this seriously. So not only did I realize the business was real, I was the Dr. Wentz was my biggest hero because of what he had done for what it was doing for my health. So that's when I started setting goals, and I got really, really serious about it. We had wanted to build a house in the country, and I actually had a house plan that sat on my fridge, and we had bought property, but the deal was we couldn't start to build the house until the property was paid for. And it was like a 5-year plan. And so that was kind of my driving force. And we were able to do it, take the 5-year plan and do it in 18 months. So USANA was just such a huge blessing for me. In fact, back in those days, it was crazy, because there was computers, but I didn't have a computer. And everything I did was one-on-one, or I put information in the mail. And my husband was very supportive, thank goodness. I did most of the stuff during nap time for children, and at night when they would go to bed, then, I could go off and do some presentations. But I loved it. I was passionate about it. And the people that I started, growing with, they became my team. And I remember the marker when I went, enrolled 14 people. I remember when I had 14 people on my team, it was like I could not believe I had that many people. That was just such a huge mile marker. And you kind of set those along the way as you go. But I actually went gold in 16 months, which, is really, really fast. And to this day, I just kind of look back at that and shake my head and don't even know how that happened, and that was a crazy, crazy time, because I was traveling on the last week, the 4th week of the run. I was traveling, and I was in Washington State doing presentations that whole weekend, just working so hard. And when I would leave home, it was a real sacrifice, because I left my husband with the kids. And back then, you had to fax everything in, and the fax machines closed and the office closed at 5 o'clock. So you didn't have that midnight curfew and a computer to help you see where your volume's at. You didn't even know. you could dial in and they could send it to you on a fax machine, but at that point it was changing so fast, I had no idea. So we're in this library, public library, and I'm in their office, and it's 4:45, and I'm trying to fax all this stuff in to get as much in, and I had no idea where I was at. It was my 4th week, and I remember thinking I didn't make it and being so just bummed, because to go 3 weeks and not make it on your 4th and have to start all over was just like, oh. So anyway, it wasn't until I got home and I got a call Monday morning from Dallin Larson, who was, part of it back then, congratulating me for going gold. So that was incredible. But then I got comfortable, and I actually sat at gold for 10 years because, I really wasn't in it for the money, and I was making really good money, and my husband made really good money, and we just were living what I thought was really nice. I lived out in the country. I built the house that I wanted. My kids were able to be involved in all the things that they wanted to do. We started going on trips, and I was really pretty comfortable. And then we went to convention, and it must have been 2005, somewhere in there. And it was a really, really powerful convention, and I had a pretty good team there. I had almost 100 people there on my team, and I remember thinking, I am doing them a disservice for not trying to advance further, for not trying to go farther. So I came home from convention. We had a team powwow, and all decided that, and I helped everybody, and we all set goals and decided we were going to make some rank advancements. And so that was in September. And in January, I went Ruby and took 22 rank advancements with me. And so that was powerful. That was very, very fun. And, we used to do a lot of trips, incentives. We've been all over the place doing incentive trips. Went on a couple of cruises with USANA, let them pay for them. That's the best way to go. And then it was not long after that, and I hadn't even been keeping track, that I got a notice from USANA telling me I was really close to the $1 million mark. And I thought, wow, I'd been in USANA for 12 years at that point. And I thought, that's pretty, people can do it a lot faster, but I just did USANA pretty much part-time. There were times where I would really put in a lot of hours, but then I would kind of sit back because I was raising my kids. And my oldest was 7 and my youngest was 18 months when I started this. So I felt pretty honored and pretty blown away. And of course, I thought, where did it all go when they told me I'd made $1 million, because I was pretty good at spending it on my kids and stuff. And so that was pretty fun. And then about a year after that, my husband, our life really, really changed. And that's when my husband felt inspired that our family wasn't over. And we ended up going to Russia, and we adopted 2 little girls from Russia to make 6 children now. And so I put USANA on the back burner for a while because they were 7 and 9 and they didn't speak English. And so now instead of 4 kids, my oldest at that point, he was 17. And so that was crazy. But you know what? I would have never had, the health to be able to take on 2 more children, let alone the finances. To adopt internationally is extremely expensive. And if it wasn't for USANA, we would not have been able to do that. So I pretty much didn't do much with USANA for the next year. My team was strong enough. They just kind of kept things going. And I helped these 2 little girls learn English and get established. And they're awesome and wonderful now. And so, and I've been back and forth. I've never worked USANA as hard as I did in the beginning. But guess what? The residual is there. And I still bring in weekly checks that are way more than if I had a full-time job. And I am now a full-time grandma Of my 6 children, 5 of them are married, and my youngest is not. She is serving a mission for our church in the Ukraine, right next to her birthplace. So that's pretty awesome. I have 7 grandchildren with 2 more on the way. My daughter is due in 2 weeks. And so it will then be 9 grandkids. So that is pretty much my journey. I'm pretty much semi-retired right now. I always will, I always go to convention. I love to still get involved with the team, and I love to help out once in a while, but my family at the moment is my priority. And I may go back and jump in full-time again. That's the beauty of this business. But 24 years of USANA, and my life has never been the same since the day I was introduced. So there you have it.
Wow. Your story is awesome. I had no idea you adopted 2 brand new, children later in life. That is so cool. How old are they now?
My youngest is, they're just turning 20 and 22 in July.
Wow.
Makes me feel old. I can't believe it's been that long.
And one's on a mission right now?
Yes. And the other one got married last summer.
Oh my gosh, how cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, your story really inspires me and everybody who's watching. I mean, it's like there's different facets to it. How you started off as a client, and then that newspaper, which you're right, like very few will see it and actually call you about it. But you were that one, and that's cool because in a way it's like you just never know, and you have to just continue to plant seeds to find. There is another Tonja Hillebrant out there somewhere that just needs an opportunity and just needs this to come into her life. And your story just gives me fuel, to make those messages today on Facebook Messenger. And I know everybody else too as well is inspired. So I have some questions, and then I want to open it up for questions since we have a little more time. So those of you who are live on the Zoom, please type in your questions for Tonja. And those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, I will ask your question right here. And so I want to just start by asking, what were some of the challenges that you overcame along the way, like when it came to prospecting, going through dealing with people dropping out? Like, how did you overcome some of those challenges or look at them differently?
You always have those happen. You have people tell you no. And I had to learn right off the bat that they weren't saying no to me. They were saying no to usually the timing. And so the other thing that was probably the biggest challenge in the beginning was I'm kind of an introvert. I don't, and a lot of people struggle with this. Public speaking is not my forte. And it scared me to death to get up in front of people and talk. But on a one-on-one, I was okay, because on a one-on-one, I was comfortable and I was passionate. And so I did more one-on-ones than groups in the beginning because I was more comfortable that way. And then I later got better at the group because you could talk with more people, and then it became okay. I remember the first big rejection I had actually signed up the principal at my son's high school. Well, they were in junior high. It was at the high school. And I was really thrilled that I had signed up the principal, and his wife really needed the products. Then he went to the school nurse, and the school nurse poo-pooed the products and told them that they weren't any good. And I just could not believe that he didn't research it further than that. And so he came to me and told me that he was going to cancel. And I will tell you that I cried and I came home and I told my husband, I can't do this anymore. And I was already making some money at that point, so that was silly to say that, but I just cried, and that rejection was really, really hard on me. And then I don't know, I guess I just picked myself up and I decided, am I really going to let him determine what my future is? And the beautiful thing in that, it was probably, I don't know, not even a year later, that I ran into his wife, and she asked me if I was still doing USANA. And I said, absolutely. And I had just gotten, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I had just gotten a check in the mail that day, because that was back when they mailed them. And it was my biggest check to date. And it was $1,200 for the week. And I said, oh, I just was on my way to the post office, because she said, how much money do you make? And I thought that was a rude question, because you shouldn't ask anybody that. And she said, how much money do you make in it then? And normally I wouldn't have answered it, but because I had the check stub right there, and I was actually kind of proud of it, I said, oh, well, look, this is what I just got for last week. And her jaw dropped, and she was very sweet. She said, as her eyes were, she says, well, congratulations, I'm very happy for you. And from there on out, they weren't interested, but at least they respected what I was doing, right?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a story. Thank you for sharing that story, because I have been through stories like that too, where people drop out and it's like, oh, and I'm sure people on the call have been through that too. And it's just great to know that you persevered. And I mean, a whole year later, here you are making these big weekly paychecks. And that's kind of cool that you had the opportunity to show that. I mean, I know that's not like what we always do. We're not telling you to go do that, but you can actually show people your checks as long as you do the average incomes disclaimer link. So it's not like it's a bad thing, but no, but thank you for sharing that, Tonja. That's a great story. All right. So we have some questions that are coming in. Let's get started. Sue Ann Knobloch, she's from San Antonio. She's one of our top team members. And she asks, that is so admirable. How did the products help children?
Oh boy, do I have a story with my kids. That was actually as much why I got involved as it was for me, because my baby at that point, he was 18 months old, and we were going into the summertime. See, I signed up July 1. So we're moving into the summer. He had had ear infections in the wintertime, and the doctors wanted to put tubes in his ears. And my 4-year-old at that point had been struggling with ear infections also. So we're going into the summer when you shouldn't be dealing with ear infections, and both of them came down with ear infections again. And this was like about June, the end of June, and the doctor really wanted to do tubes, and I just did not feel good about tubes, and I thought, I have got to do something. And when I was reading the thing about the USANA, the chewables, I thought, you know what, I got to get my kids on these. So I was pretty aggressive, though. I did the chewables with them, and then they didn't have Booster C back then. It was called Poly C, and it was a vitamin C, and then Proflavanol, and I crushed all of that up in pill crushers and would put it in applesauce and give it to them. And I'll tell you, they never, and I know this might sound amazing. It is amazing. They never had another ear infection. In fact, we didn't go back to the doctor for 4 years. And when we went back to the doctor, it was this flu that was going around, and they got high fevers, and I went in. I had to refill all the papers. They thought we had gone somewhere else because we hadn't been there for 4 years. And they couldn't hardly believe when I said, we just haven't been sick. So yes, they're wonderful for children. My grandchildren are all USANA babies, and they all take USANAMOLs. I don't give them an option. And if they say they don't like it, you just persist, stay with it in the beginning. You can crush it up, put it in yogurt, put it in applesauce, in their oatmeal, whatever. But I very much believe in the children's nutrition.
That is a great story. Thank you for sharing that. I love that they haven't had ear infections ever since, and they just you didn't go back to the doctor for years. Like what a blessing truly that is. And also, I love what you said about persisting, because sometimes the parents are like, oh, the kid didn't like it, so I'm not going to do it. But what you just said there is worth its weight in gold. All of you watching, if your clients say that, just say persist, because it's going to be worth it. Do they eventually start to like it, or do you just do it with the applesauce or the yogurt and that fixes it?
No, they eventually start to like it, because actually if you put it in applesauce, they start getting a little bit of the taste. And with the kid, it's just a matter of getting used to the taste, whether it's the taste or the texture. That's usually can grow on them.
Okay.
Yes, they all, and then pretty soon they think it's candy and they cry when you won't give them more, So hang in there because they really do adjust.
So the same kids that think it's nasty and don't like it eventually think it's candy and love it.
Yes, I promise you. If you are consistent with it, that'll happen.
Okay, that's great. Great advice. I'm gonna use that as soon as possible with whoever, if that ever happens again. Because I mean, like literally, I think that happened to me just last month with someone. So I'm like, okay, hey, you know what? I've been in this for how many years now? 13, and I'm learning too. So thank you, Tanya. Okay, so we have another question here. Phyllis Walker from Salt Lake City asks, what type of presentations do you give?
I have always been a health and freedom. I love the newspaper. But that's when you get with them one-on-one. But I do more. I mean, I haven't really done much for the last year, but before that, most of it is videos. I do Zoom presentations. I do Google Hangout. I mean, most things are online, but I follow the health and freedom format. I'm not sure exactly what she's looking for, if she's looking for how you do it or what you do, but the story, and then I love Dr. Wentz's story, and that's what got me, so that's where I spend a lot of my time is Dr. Wentz's story.
That's awesome. Well, I think at the end of the day, all the formats work. It's really just about doing it consistently and inviting people consistently. And I mean, I've done all those ways too and been successful in each different way. It really didn't matter as long as I was consistently bringing business in. So thank you. I'm getting an echo. I don't know why. All right. Next question is Becky Armstrong from Raleigh, North Carolina. She asks, how do the daily logistics work being semi-retired? And do you have active leaders that support new associates in your downline?
I do. I've got some leaders. I actually only talk to the leaders right now. I don't talk to, I've got some preferred customers that I stay in touch with, but I don't talk to a lot of my team because everyone knows that I am spending a lot of time with family. And so it's just, I had some good things that happened. I had a daughter-in-law that moved in with me and some things that happened that made it so I kind of had to put USANA on a back burner, but I was able to. So I probably on maybe once a week do I talk to leaders right now. A couple of them is all. And maybe I'm embarrassed to say that, but at the same time, I think I've earned my rite of passage. So here I am right now.
That's awesome. No, that's great. That you've built your business and that you have leaders that are consistently growing and that love the products, and it really is a blessing. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
My kids are all, every one of my kids are associates.
Oh.
They're all very good, consistent, faithful. That's the word I was looking for. They're all very faithful, taking the products. Every one of them have been to convention several times. Nobody is really working the business. I have a son in medical school right now, and he is very educated on it, will promote it, and believes in it 100%. So that's kind of fun. But so USANA is still a big part of my life. I'm just not out prospecting is basically what it is.
Yes, totally. All right. And we have a comment from Veronica Coons in Lancaster, California. She says, hi, Jared and USANA family. I've been consistent and I dislike swallowing all pills, and I'm just not a good pill taker. But now I can take 3 to 4 at one time. Consistency is truly the key. And then she says, oh, and my rosacea and knee issues are well under control, and I haven't been sick for over a year. I love USANA. I believe in USANA. Awesome.
Awesome.
Veronica. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that, Veronica. Audie Wilkins says, my daughters are like your kids. So we have some raving fans on Facebook Live right now. So thank you, Audie and Veronica. All right, so this has been an enlightening interview, Tanya. I really I'm really pleased that you were able to share and take some time out of your day to really help the USANA family. And what's your last piece of advice you have for everybody who's watching?
Never give up. Do not give up. I mean, I have a 24-year journey that sometimes is up and sometimes it's been down. And sometimes I've worked so hard, my head would just hit the pillow at night with exhaustion. And other times I'm playing and it's still there. You know, the health is there, the finances is there. And I am so grateful to USANA because of their products and the quality of their products, the residual is real.
That is so true. The products are so good that people just keep buying them. So if you can really build your business, the residual is going to keep happening. That is totally, that's been my experience as well. But thank you so much for sharing, Tonja. We really appreciate it. So now we're going to unmute the lines and everyone say thank you, Tonja, and have an awesome day.
Thank you,
Thank you, Tonja.
Have an awesome day.
Have an awesome day.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless.
You all too.
Thank you, Tonja. I'm going to call you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.